Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Magic Winning podcast. I'm your host, Gabby, and my intention with these episodes is to bring awareness and clarity to the winning of breastfeeding process because this is what I'm here to do.
You've created a miracle called life, breastfeeding or pumping every day and night. And there's gonna be a gentle winning way. It's time to listen to Magic Winning. Welcome to Magic Winning. You ready for Magic Winning with Gabriela Ungurelu.
Today, in this episode, I want to talk to you about why is it so difficult to even think about the winning breastfeeding moment or the winning of pumping moment, because again, in different parts of the world, we have different ways to breastfeed our kids. And if you leave for work with 3 months, you have to pump, but it's still breastfeeding. So if you haven't heard about this, no worries. Magic Winning, it's a unique process that I came up with 6 years ago, as I was mentioning in the first episode of the podcast. And if you haven't listened to that, I invite you to do so in order for you to find out how the Magic Winning came to life. So after all the information that I had, all the information that I acquired, and having worked with over 2,000 mothers, guiding them through the process, being there for them, holding their hands basically, because when somebody comes into the winning breastfeeding process with me in the Magic Winning program, I tell them this right after hello. Since you are in my program, you are no longer alone in this. We are a team. You and me, we are a team. So why is it hard to even think about it? Because there are some very subtle psychological strings and attachments that we have when it comes to winning breastfeeding. It's something very, I think you can call it selfish, even though the energy behind it is not that, but as a word to word it, selfish will be the word for it. Even though when it comes to mother, using the word selfish is not really, it's not really from the same picture. But before being a mother, you and me and everybody else, we are human beings. We are mammals at the core of our existence, and there are some things and some rules that go along with that side of us. So why to think like this and how it will help you? Well, it will help you have a wider perspective on what's going on when it comes to stop breastfeeding your child on one hand, and on the other hand, how it can help you is by making you understand your part in it and that you do have a say in it. Okay? Because why wouldn't you start to play with the way you see this stage in your life as a mother? We play with everything else. Okay? And we learn by trial and error. But in this case, the Magic Winning cuts off the trial and error part of the winning breastfeeding. It really helps you go through this process with awareness, with responsibility, with honesty, and with a lot of emotions that you let go by the end of it. I will go in more detail in the second part. Please stay tuned.
How did you find about Gabi and magic weaning? It was quite easy because the recommendation was received from other mothers who wean their baby with her. I was exhausted, nervous, and I realized that I didn't have any more joy breastfeeding my girl. And the idea is that the decision working with Gabi changed my life. The fact that it was normally to think what I think it. And the most important thing that Gabi told me is that I'm a wonderful mother from the moment I give birth to my children. It doesn't matter if I breastfeeding for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You are a great mother, a wonderful mother, beginning the life that you give.
Thank you for coming back. We are talking about why is it so difficult to think of weaning off breastfeeding or pumping. Depends on the situation you're at. And I hope I already inspired you a little bit to consider the magic weaning perspective. Because as I was mentioning in the first part of the podcast, once you come and join the magic weaning program, you are no longer alone. You no longer have to go through the trial and error part of the weaning breastfeeding. You have a very specific way on how to do it. You can work with me or you can work with the coaches that I trained, and you can find the list on www.gabrielaungurelu.com. You will find this link in the description of the podcast, and also on the website you will find all the social media information. You will find the access to the free weaning breastfeeding support group, where I have a live Q&A every month where you can ask me anything. You can come live and talk to me about your situation, and I'll be happy to see you there. So why is it so difficult to think about it? Well, as I mentioned, it's a little bit selfish because, the word is selfish, but the energy is not exactly being selfish. But the thing is that when we breastfeed our child or when we pump and they have our milk, which is so important, and it helps in so many ways, in all the ways a baby develops, it's the first time ever in our life, in our comparison society, when we are contributing on making a miracle by just being. Because when you breastfeed your child, it doesn't matter what degrees you have. It doesn't matter if your roots are dyed, okay? It doesn't matter if your manicure is impeccable. It doesn't matter if you have any makeup. It doesn't matter if you have low self-esteem. Nothing basically matters. To be able to breastfeed, the only requirement is to just be. And breastfeeding comes, if we're going into metaphorical description, comes like superwoman cape that we receive after birth. And we have this Wonder Woman cape called breastfeeding or pumping. It's still breast milk. And we roll with it. And we are the only ones that have it. And we did not have to do anything about it, and we don't need to do anything about it. We don't have to go to school for 12 years to obtain it. We don't have to have the house, the car, the job, the money, the holidays to have it. Just by being, we have it. Just by being alive, we have it. So when it comes to stop breastfeeding, if we continue the metaphorical story around it, it's like taking off the Wonder Woman cape that gives you superpowers and that makes you completely and utterly unique. Because for the first time in your life, nobody can compare you to anyone. And everyone is looking up to you like, wow, you're breastfeeding your child, and nobody can do it better than you do it. Okay? When in real world, in normal world, in the world that we were raised in, somebody could be better dressed than you. Somebody could have better grades than you in school. Somebody could have a better husband. Somebody could have a better holiday than you. Somebody can have something better than you in every areas and aspects of life that you can think of. And no matter how hard you work and how hard you go for your dreams and goals and things that are important for you, somebody will always have it freaking better than you. But when it comes to weaning breastfeeding, of course we have formula that helps our human babies to stay alive in case there's no mother or there's no breast milk. But that's a survival thing that we use. The actual breastfeeding cannot be replicated the way it happens from the mother's breast, because like around the nipple, the brown area has some sensors, okay, which in the vacuum created when the child is latched. So the vacuum is created in order for the child to express the milk, and in that vacuum, these sensors around the nipple also extract saliva from the baby's mouth and send it to your brain to be analyzed. And having into consideration the results of that analyze, your brain gives your body a specific command of nutrition and quantity of the next feed. Okay, so this is something that cannot be replaced, that cannot be reproduced, because every time you breastfeed your child, the amount of nourishment and the quantity of milk is specifically designed for the needs of your child in the moment you're at. Okay, and when it comes to pumping, it's, in a way, there are some general guidelines of the body that know when you gave birth, know the stages your baby is in, and even though there's no latching the entire time, your body knows approximately what stage your child is, where you're at, and what the needs are. And again, this cannot be replicated. So basically, you're contributing, you're doing literally a miracle every time you pump and every time your child latches on, just by being. And again, for the first time in your life, You cannot be compared to anyone. There's no one in this world that can do breastfeeding for your child better than you do it. Coming back, when it comes to weaning breastfeeding, it feels to us like taking the Wonder Woman cape off and fold it carefully and giving it back to whomever gave it to us when we gave birth. And basically, you give back your magic powers, because from the moment you stop breastfeeding, you turn into the General Joe, because you can do for your child what every human being can do for your child in this entire world. So that's why it's so difficult for us to think about stopping breastfeeding or pumping, because we basically give our magic powers away. And not only this, but we also have to come back to our day-to-day life, where you have to have that body, you have to have that hair, you have to have that makeup. And talking about makeup, most of your makeup products have expired since you gave birth until you come back to life. So you basically stop breastfeeding and come back to the world of comparison, to the world of being compared for so long that it became your second nature. Because when you're an adult, you don't have a parent that says, well, our neighbor's daughter has better grades than you. Why can't you be that good? Okay, they are not there to nag us about things, but we are there to nag ourselves about the things we know we're not doing better, and beat ourselves up for everything we don't do, and be very strict with ourselves. So nobody's an eager beaver to go back to that stage of their life. And these two aspects make the weaning breastfeeding a very difficult thing to think about. And these are the two main reasons. And then there's a third reason why it's difficult to think about stopping breastfeeding or pumping. So the third one is more complex due to the fact that what's going on, it's basically when you become a mother, your child sends you in a throwback Thursday, to put it like this, sends you in a throwback Thursday in a regression, what's called a regression to the age that you had and the child before you has. So if your child is 1 year old, you're going to behave as your version of 1 year old. You're going to feel the feels that you felt when you were 1 year old, the feelings, the way that things were going on around you. Reason for which the first 3-4 years with the child are like somebody just threw you in a high speeding washing machine and you cannot tell your name with your ID in front of you, basically. So when you have it hard in the first years with the child, you have to look back into your own coming into this world. How did it feel? What was the energy around you? How scared was your mother? How threatened? How afraid? How sad, depressed, lonely? And you will understand then why all of a sudden, from a beautiful, smart, high achiever, you turn into a depressed, boiled vegetable. Or momzilla that scares the shit out of everyone she gets in contact with, including herself. But you cannot stop doing it. You cannot stop being depressed. You cannot stop being a momzilla, because it sends you right back into that stage of your life. Okay? And then if you have support like your mother or your mother-in-law, they also change. You can notice that they also change. And that is because when it comes to grandpa, they are sent in a regression. When the granddaughter or the grandson is born, they are sent in a regression to the age, to the point in time where they became parents. And all of a sudden, from a very nice person, your mother-in-law turns into a ruthless teacher that will not take anything from you that is not done how she says it should be done. That's not listening to you. And the same thing with your mother. Okay? Normally, your mother-in-law turns into this ruthless teacher, and your mother turns into guilt fiesta. Okay? Because they both are sent back to the moment they became parents, and they really want to fix things. They really want to have you not go through the things they went through. They really want you to not have the regrets they had to live with up until that moment. So everything changes. And at least while you are breastfeeding, nobody can tell you anything. Nobody can contradict you or anything, because they cannot do what you do. And when it comes to weaning breastfeeding, things get complicated when you think about it, because it throws you basically back into a world you're no longer yourself. You haven't had time to correlate the woman with the mother that you became, and you don't understand why are you feeling the way you're feeling when your rational mind tells you the way you feel is stupid. The way you feel is not what you envisioned for yourself as a mother, but you cannot help it. And so you will want to lean into the breastfeeding as long as you can, even though it's no longer fun for you. I will see you for my final talk in a few moments. Please stay tuned and see you soon.
What will you tell to a breastfeeding mother who think about joining the Magic Weaning program? So, mother, if you have doubts, it means that you have to sign up. If you came here across her name, it means that the universe sent to meet her. The story of breastfeeding can be so beautifully, so easily, and at the end of this Magic Weaning program, you will be the one who will win even more.
Hi and welcome back, and thank you for staying with me until the end of this episode. Let me know what your ahas are. Let me know what was useful to you from this episode. I'm at Gabriela Ungurelu, and you can tag me everywhere on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and I would very much like to receive comments from you and messages with the things that were most valuable to you from this episode and any other episode for that matter, because it really helps me to tailor the content of the podcast on to your specific needs. So think about how was the life that your parents had when you came into this world. What were their struggles? What were their fears? And you can do this on a page that you separate in two with a line and put their emotions that you remember. You don't have to question them. If you can talk to your mother, for example, you can talk to her around dinner, and I don't know, after you both had some wine or something. Okay, so it will not sound like a questionnaire, but you don't really need to question your parents about it. You just need to take a piece of paper and put the thoughts that you have that they mentioned about when you came into this world, and then look for it into your own reality. Because just saying this, it will give you grounding stage in understanding that everything that you feel, it doesn't define you, it's not yours. And it's one of the first steps to getting your power back. And in order for you to be able to see the weaning breastfeeding process as a normal thing and not something that everyone escapes on their own to the best of their abilities. Okay, so have fun with this and see you in the next episode of the Magic Weaning podcast. I'm Gabby, and again, thank you so much for your time and sharing and caring and all the messages that I received from you. I'm overwhelmed and I feel very privileged and honored to be here today in front of you. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to Magic Weaning. Tell your friends about your magic winning. Review, tag, subscribe. We hope you had a very good time.